Bonus!
Piper Leo! Crew, what the hell is going on? Oh, look out! Piper, now!
Here are these words. Here are the rhyme.
Crew, Piper, page, book!
Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep it going, Phoebe.
Hear now the words of the witches.
The words of the witches. The words of the witches.
Crew, Piper, page,
Hear now the words of the
keep it
witches.
going, Phoebe. Keep it going.
Hear now the words of the
Keep chanting.
Words of the witches.
Hear now the words.
The words of the witches. The story.
Crew, Piper, page, book! Keep chanting.
Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep chanting.
What ass backward spell did you guys cast?
This is Kevin, and welcome to Words of the Witches.
Hear now the words of the witches.
Piper, page, book!
The words of the witches. The words of the witches. Hear now the words of the witches.
Keep chanting.
Hear now the words of the witches.
Alright, so now I can invite There we go. Okay. Hello.
I am so
We're both-
sorry. Like I'm normally late, but not that late.
Yeah. It was like I'm like, oh, 5 minutes maybe. Okay, now it's like a half hour.
I thought it was gonna be like 5 minutes, and then like whatever the like back end CMS stuff at work sometimes like will have hiccups, and of course it was having a hiccup
Of
as
course.
I'm trying to like quickly finish it. I'm like, "Argh!" So
We're good. Working out.
I'm gonna turn on one more light because it's still a little dark here.
One more light.
One more light.
Well, hello everybody. If you returned, we're a little late. It's fine. Okay.
I'm a little late, just a little late.
So yeah, this is exciting. We're just gonna shoot the shit kind of stuff because that's what lives are all about.
It is. I was actually just I'm excited. I was talking to someone who's like a viral TikTok person. And they were like, well, I don't really know Buffy that well. And I was like, that's fine if we do like a live. It's just like hanging out. It's not like you don't have to know Buffy to like do a live with me. And they're like, okay, I will.
That's the thing. That's what I love because like I don't know Buffy much at all, and you don't know Charmed much at all. But here we are doing a thing. Of course, the fans.
Kevin, I had like 3 different people be like, oh my God, you like Charmed? I was like, I'm a fake fan. I'm just doing it because I love Kevin.
Well, yeah, because I was on your live like last year sometime, and I'm like, ah.
I think I had to sell you on the same thing, right? Be like, oh, you don't need to know Buffy. We can just hang out.
Right. But yeah, well, for people who don't know who you are, tell them about you and what your coolness is.
My name is Ian Carlos Crawford. I host Slayerfest 98, and I co-host a horror podcast called My Bloody Judy. I was forgetting the name for a second.
Yeah, and you're a big Scream fan, so that's cool too.
Face. You don't do horror at all, right, Kevin?
Well, I do some a little bit, yeah. I mean, I love the Scream movies. Like, it's funny, when I was younger, like, I was not a horror person at all. I don't really like the gore horror. I like more ghosty things, like paranormal type stuff. But I was always very fascinated by all the Scream movies because they had a good story and a mystery, and that excited me.
It's funny because that's like what got me into horror is Scream, because it was like I was definitely like a big scaredy cat as a kid. Like everything scared me. Like we had a cousin named Freddie who was visiting from Puerto Rico, and as a kid, I was like, I never met this person, so I was like, he's gonna be Freddy Krueger, and I was like scared to me. But then like Scream, like you said, like I feel like Scream kind of like almost like Scream and Buffy both spoiled shit for me because it's like I want all horror to be written the way Scream is, where it's like great characters and whatever. But that's what like got me into horror. I remember watching it at my neighbor's house and us being like terrified in like the older sister's bedroom, but like loving it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm just like, when you're younger, when something's interesting and something like gets your attention.
Yeah. Paul, I love you too.
Paul is sending us questions. All right. Can we talk about the friendship between Shando and Sarah Michelle Gellar? Yeah, they're so cute.
They haven't hung out in a while. They used to post pictures all the time together.
Yeah, especially during COVID, and they did like those little cooking ads and stuff like that. Like, we got our groceries. Let's cook some dinner tonight.
Was it during COVID or was it before when they did that video of them like the
the shopping.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I just
But
remember
close
being like, oh my god, I love this.
Yeah, and I remember the old WB promos, like when they were showing all their shows, and they had like Shannon and Sarah Michelle, like, we're standing on the wall together. Ooh. So.
Wasn't that like where they became friends doing that promo?
Oh yeah.
I think
Sure.
you might have told me that. I don't know.
I'm always like sending pictures, like, look at this, look at them together there, look at this. Here's Alyssa and David Bironis together. See?
I always welcome a message from you. It is usually like out of nowhere. That's like I forget what you sent me once, and I was like, oh, did you make this? And you were like, no, Ian, this is a promo from like WB or something.
Right. Those are the days. And then like they had all those songs like I can't wait to go. Yeah.
We talked about one of those with Charisma Carpenter, and she said she like loved doing those.
Yeah. See, I think this would be fun. We should see like how much crossover Buffy and Charmed have. Because
they're
a lot.
Well, and I feel like you and I are maybe like most people like both. I feel like you and I are the only ones that like haven't watched both.
Well, it's funny because there are a lot of people that even come on my podcast that weren't Buffy people. I mean, I get a lot that were both, and then get a lot that weren't Buffy people, and because we're kind of like the scene of like the stepsister in Buffy a lot of times, because Buffy was like the golden child, and we're like, we're here too.
If it makes you feel better, my mom loves both.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to lower this, and I might drop it. Jared, who is in the chat, is so sweet and sent me for my birthday a new phone stand because he knows when I do lives it always fucking falls. I of course did not take it out of the box yet because I am a mess all the time. So I'm using my old one and it may fall. So hold on.
Okay. I'm prepared for the crash.
Okay, wait. Okay, got it. All right, good. There we go. I don't think that changed anything, but I felt like my head was too low.
Maybe you're just nicer framed. I don't know. This is my first time using maybe second, but my little stand thing, because I don't usually, most of the time I'm just like holding it like, hey, I'm live. That's hard.
I did a couple of lives that way, and then I was like, oh wait, I hate doing that, because like it's like weird, and like you have to keep your arm up the whole time.
Yeah, it is weird. But yeah. So, and I watched season 1 through 3 of Buffy all the way through recently, like last year, and then I did see it kind of sporadically. I never watched it all the way through.
Okay. I mean, that's how I'm kind of like that with Charmed, because I would watch it with my mom. So I feel like Charmed went into reruns before Buffy did.
Okay.
Not reruns, but you know what I mean, where like other networks would play it. Like,
TNT would play reruns while it was still on the air.
Yeah.
Because.
So like when I would get home from school, my mom would be watching it. So I feel like there was always like a block of like Charmed episodes, and I would be like if I was like coming home from school and like wanting to get a snack, I would like sit at the kitchen table and watch it. Syndication. Thank you, Jared. What are words? And like that's how I would catch Charmed. Like I didn't watch it like consistently, but I would watch it like then. So like I said, I've seen the Charisma Carpenter episodes. How many is she in? She's in one, right?
She's in more than one. She's in 3, I believe, in season 7.
Okay.
3 different episodes.
Is that the only season she's in?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't realize. I thought that was an earlier episode.
No. Yeah. Not because I think it was after she was off Angel that she went to Buffy.
Well, because yeah, she did leave Angel before it ended. So yeah.
So this is gonna be a fun thing to see all the things. I mean, there's tons of actors that were in both, like tons of them, like a whole list of them. But like for me, like Greg Vaughn was a big one. because he was like Dan in season 2 of Charmed, all of season 2. And he was like the reptile thing in season 2 of
Oh, really?
Buffy. Yeah, but that's
I was like, I don't recognize that name from Buffy.
Oh, yeah, he was in one episode. He was like one of the college guys or something in that one episode.
Love you too.
But like,
bye. Thank you for stopping by. I'll respond to your DM when I'm done this. I promise.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's one of the fun things I had watching Buffy in the beginning, because I'm just like, oh, they're in Charmed, they're in Charmed, they're in Charmed.
You know, what's funny is I feel like, like when I was a teen, like a lot of the teen movies, even like just like random side actors, there would always be packed with like Buffy people. Like Can't Hardly Wait, there are like 10 different characters that have one line that are all also in Buffy.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And Amber Benson, who plays Tara, she like was cut from the movie, but you would see her in 2 scenes.
You know, and there's a bunch of people too, like that one that was in like Sarah, what's her face? It's like, you are all sheep. She was in a WB show too. I don't know which one. I forget what it's called, but I remember her having a show.
The girl that makes fun of Seth Green's character, I think, unless I'm misremembering, I'm pretty sure in Buffy, she played the werewolf girl that Seth Green's character cheated on Willow with. Like, he like ends up. That's kind of a spoiler, but I feel like you don't at this point. It's okay. Yeah, it was like I just remember being very excited when I was like, oh look, that person's Buffy. That person's from Buffy.
Yeah, so it's a fun little game. But like the big ones, like who's the principal guy? What's the principal?
Armin.
Huh? Mayor?
Armin.
Maybe the mayor. Sorry, mayor. Well, principal and mayor, both of them actually were in Charmed.
Oh.
Armin, what's his face?
And Shimmerin?
He was in
also in
the
Star
4
Trek.
finale of Charmed.
He was in what?
The season 4 finale of Charmed. It's not finale.
Just like a
No, that's not the finale, but the season 4, we're up to the Wizard, episode 19. And then that one big buff vampire, season 1. But the mayor guy, he played a priest in Charmed.
All right.
With the power of empathy. Random ones like that.
Well, I don't know. I feel like that shit always like. What's like the other? I feel like there's another '90s thing where it's like everyone was in one of the like. I don't know. I feel like it was a lot of the same.
Yes, that's a big one. Like I watch CSI. There's a lot of people I recognize from Charmed in that. So it's just that actors in that time period going from show to show. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if I've asked you this before, because what's funny is I do remember the later seasons better than I remember the earlier seasons of Charmed.
Yeah.
So, like, I often forget that Kaylee Cuoco, she was only in what, like the last season or last 2?
Yeah, season 8.
Okay. How did you feel about that? Because, like, I remember being like, oh, this is cute, but I know a lot of people hate that storyline, but I didn't watch it, like, consistently, but I know it's, like, guarded is not great.
It's definitely a button pusher for amongst fans. Some people hate Billy altogether. Some people just hate her sister. I guess that's kind of like the Dawn thing in Buffy, I would think, maybe. But, I kind of didn't... At the time, when it first started, I didn't like it. I was mad at it. I was like, no, don't get rid of good characters to bring in new people. No! Because we were losing Brian Krause, we lost Dorian, we were losing like fan favorites for season 8, and then to bring it, so I'm like, this is horrible. But watching it now, I do appreciate the character more. Like she was kind of, I liked her more than the sister sometimes in that season. So it was mostly just when she was looking for her sister and Christy came, where it became really annoying.
Well, I feel like it was probably those actors quit, right? I feel like a lot of those shows that happens, like the actors just quit, and then it's like.
Well, this wasn't. They didn't just quit. They were actually fired or moved because budget cuts.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, so it was just like, okay, so we can't pay the good people. We have to pay new people, and that's why I was like,
which funny because Kaylee Cuoco has like what a zillion Emmys now. I feel like.
I know, right? This was like right after Eight Simple Rules and before Big Bang Theory even started. So
Yeah, because I like only recently realized that was her. I think when I was watching like The Flight Attendant, and I tweeted about it, someone was like, "Oh yeah, when she was in Charmed," and I was like, "Wait a minute, that was her." It's always funny, like especially those shows that like we loved as like teens, like the people that played like like Pedro Pascal is in one episode of Buffy, and he's very good at it, but it's like I only recently, like within the last 2 years, realized that was him.
it's like Amy Adams. She was in one episode of Buffy and one episode of Charmed. Another one.
And Smallville. I think she was in like every one of them.
She must have been making the rounds. Like I'm on the lot today.
Her agent was working.
Yep.
It's also weird seeing like what ladies like. I don't know. It's weird to see who went on to do more and who didn't.
Yeah.
Because like especially with, I mean like, I guess what's her face? Who's Piper?
Holly Marie Combs.
She didn't, but she went to Pretty Little Liars, right? Didn't she do that?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I don't know. I guess like, well, Shannon Doherty and Alyssa Milano were like already famous, and so was Rose McGowan, right?
Yeah.
They were all like already famous.
They had stuff established, and Holly was kind of like the newcomer. But she was really like best friends with Shannon, for years, for like 10 years before Charmed even started, and so that's what helped her get her foot in the door. And she's a really great actress. So
yeah, I do feel like both Buffy and Charmed, like the ladies in it, kind of get like a little. It's like, oh, that's a silly genre show, so they're not good actors. Like that's how people like think of them,
right?
Even though that's incorrect, but
incorrect. Jawbreaker, yes, Jawbreaker.
I love that movie so much. My friend Michael Verratti had Darren Stein, who wrote the movie, on his podcast just to talk about it, and I was like, this is great. Like I loved hearing him talk about how he like, the movie was like too gay, he couldn't sell it, and like shit like that, and like getting those actors because that cast is great.
Yeah. Rose McGowan is one of the best things that happened into the 90s. Yeah. I have a question for you. I think you and I talked about this a little bit. It says, did Ian see the Supernatural episode with Charisma and James Marsters?
I didn't. I've always meant to watch it, but I did not see it.
Okay. I did not see it.
Supernatural is another show that has a lot of those actors.
Mm-hmm. Misha Collins was in an episode of Charmed in season 2, and then went on to that show. So,
because Amber Benson and Mercedes McNabb, I think, were both also on Supernatural. I think. I mean, I agree. Jawbreaker's fucking great. I still play that song, "Yoo-Hoo" by Imperial Teen. That's still like a song I like put on playlist because it's so fucking good. That's the song when they're like strutting down the hallway.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that sparked a lot of movies afterwards. You got like the Mean Girls and even like The Craft was like down the hallway. Like,
yeah, I think like that. Yeah, they're all just so good in that movie, and I feel like that came out like not all of them were famous. That came out, right?
Oh,
like Judy Greer hadn't been in a lot, I don't think.
And now she's like in everything.
Yeah. Hi, Joe. Joe wants to know where you bought your Book of Shadows from.
Oh,
that's
custom, right? I'm trying to like my computer like it's over there. This is actually made for me by my friend Wayne, who used to own a site called Prescott Manor. And he used to make all kinds of Charmed props and merchandise and things like that. But then CBS shut him down. But his is like the best that was ever existed that I know of, and so good. There's even a page of me in there. I got my own personal page in there.
Hey, really?
Yeah, that's my Mercendius, and I'm like this like demon person who's like between two planes of existence, and you can either save the world or destroy it, type of thing, But yeah, it was fun.
I mean, also, wait, is that the same person you got the house from?
No, the house was on eBay, but I am getting another house that's just like a little bit smaller scale, but all the way around. and that would probably be from him. So, but this one was just
the guy I do the Heart podcast with, Zach. He has a custom made. It's just the front of it, but it's like the Michael Myers house, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and you would know Wayne because Willow's Warlock. That's who he is.
I almost asked you if that's who that was. I was like, no, it's probably not the same person.
Yeah.
I'm just named Wayne. But
yeah,
okay,
yeah. So he's a big Buffy fan as well, but he used to make all this charm stuff. And lately he's been doing these really great Buffy statues, and he has been telling me secret things, so he might be doing some more charm statues in the future too. But
I've been trying to. That reminds me, I should message him again. I've been trying to set up a Insta Live to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in the UK, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like he'll message me at like 3:00 in the morning, and then I message him back at like noon. And it's just...
Exactly. It's a little bit of trickiness, yeah.
Just started Charmed.
Oh, well, cool. Enjoy the journey. I love that. Yeah, a lot of people have been like watching it this year too, because it was on Netflix. It had a big resurgence when it was on Netflix. Then they took it off Netflix.
That's when Buffy had a big surge.
Yeah.
Too. Like when Buffy was on Netflix, like suddenly everyone was talking about it on Twitter, which I like. I don't know how you feel. I'm not gatekeepy, but it's a little bit like I don't like seeing all these bad opinions on Buffy. Because like everyone was able to watch it, and it's like.
See, and I don't know if I look that much. I mean, the Reddit's full of like I see a lot of opinions that are wrong, like well, not opinions, but like realizations or people that say things that's incorrect.
You're the one commenting. Well, actually. Yeah.
I don't usually I don't gatekeep, but I think things. I don't say it. I don't respond. I just think it. Wait, unless it's like really like egregious.
Said Netflix changed the intro? They did?
They changed everything pretty much. So because on any streaming service, Charmed has no music rights. They lost all the rights for that stuff. So the theme song changed. Even the in episode songs changed during like the scenescapes of San Francisco and things like that. They had the the song for Bruce Funeral all wrong. All that stuff is different. So that's why I watch my DVDs, because they have all the OG music except for season 8. But
no, excuse me. Didn't that happen with Dawson's Creek too? Because they had that Paula Cole song theme, and I think that
I know it happened to Roswell DVDs. They kept the theme song the same, but the in episode music was all different.
It's weird because I've heard of that happening, but it didn't happen to Buffy at all, which is weird because Buffy did have a lot of like 90s.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it's because a lot of if their song is in, they like appear in the bronze. So I wonder if that
that probably does help. Yeah. Because if they did make an appearance, that fades.
Yeah. Is that Charmed seasons 1 through 4, or I'm assuming Charmed because Buffy? I don't think it changed.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I tried to refuse streaming any kind of Charmed.
Alexander, the Buffy DVDs, I have a shelf in my closet that I'm looking at right now, and it only has Buffy, Angel, Veronica Mars. That's it. That's all the DVDs I own. But I have been thinking of like buying digital to make doing content easier. Because like I don't have a disk drive on my computer anymore, because who does?
Buy external one. That's what I do. I have an external Blu-ray player, and I can just plug it to my computer. I stick my Blu-rays in, rip them to my computer. It's beautiful.
Do they not do the thing anymore where it's like it shows up like it won't let you rip them? Like, can you rip them? Remember that was like a thing, you couldn't rip them for a while.
I don't know. I mean, I can do. Of course, I have the entire series of Charmed like 10 times over. I have it like 6 times on DVD and 3 times on Blu-ray. And then there's a new release, I have to have it. But so maybe some of them would work, some of them wouldn't work. I'm not sure. But the one I'm doing with it now is the new Blu-ray release, and it works just fine.
I've also been thinking of just buying them digitally. That way, it's like easier for me to just like open it up real quick, screenshot some shit, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Because did Charm get a HD remaster?
Yeah.
Because Buffy did, and a lot of people hate it, but those shows were poorly lit back then. So like the HD remaster works better for like content wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like them. I like the remasters. They look really pretty. So I have no complaints.
What was your favorite Buffy love interest? So I'm like one of those people that gets like, I don't really care about her love interest as much. Overall, I think I do like Spike the best. But if you ask people that get mad at my podcast, they would say I hate Spike. But Spike would be my favorite of her boyfriends. But I think he's also like one of the most problematic ones. But I don't know if you feel this way about Charmed, Kevin. It's like, even if it's like, I love it so much that there's not really like, I don't hate a character unless it's like a villain we're supposed to hate.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. Yeah, pretty much because they help make the show. They're part of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I do kind of hate Christy, but I also think she's kind of hot. So it's like, but I hate her. I'm like, the stupid faces she makes are mostly the things I'm like, ew, your stupid face. I hate it. But but yeah, that's most of the things I'm supposed to hate. I hate because I'm supposed to, but I like that I do.
Right, like for me, I'm just like, all the pieces work. So it's like, there's not a character that I'm like, get rid of them. It's like, well, it all works for the show. So like, that's the plot. I don't know. Like for me, I'm just like, yep, this is what it is. Even with Buffy's boyfriends, it's like, the one I like least, that most people like least, is Riley. But even him, I'm like, well, he served his purpose. He was like her in-between boyfriend between Angel and Spike. So like, you know, it's like, yeah, he's boring, but he's supposed to be boring. I'm like, he's hot. It's fine.
Yeah. So I didn't remember that Buffy and Spike were a thing.
You didn't?
I didn't remember. So I watched 1 through 3, like all the way through it, and I'm like, oh, and then someone told me she goes back. I'm like, what? He just like tried to kill her like crazy, or like a little while ago when I just saw. So that was like a weird revelation for me.
That's funny. I had James Marsters on the podcast, and this was one of my favorite interactions. I told him that like, so there's a flashback to like Spike in the 70s, and he's like all punk. I don't know if you've ever seen that, like an image from that or something.
Yeah.
And I told him that was a very big sexual awakening for closeted teen Ian, and he was like, well, then you have good taste. And I was like,
there you go.
And also, like, I don't know, have you ever had this? Did I tell you this before, that I did like a Zoom, there like a Comic-Con that was like, oh, if you promo the con, you can do like a before like hangout with them like during lockdown. So I jumped on the call, and James Marsters went, is that a painting of Sarah on your wall? And I was like, it is. Oh God, I'm embarrassed. And he was like, no, it's a really good painting. And I was just like, oh, I look like a fucking nerd, but well.
Yeah. I showed Holly and Rose and Brian this wall of stuff.
I love that.
Yeah. And I was just like, look, I was super like reveling in it. Like, if I meet you at a con, I can't show you my obsession. Here you can see it all. So I got really happy and proud.
Oh yeah, I saw that. There's gonna be like a 90s con. Where is it? Like Massachusetts or
Connecticut.
somewhere like that?
Yeah, they usually do two a year now or something like that, and I do want to go one of these times.
So Kevin, we're gonna go together, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Alexander, yeah, I've had a couple of the Buffy folks on. I think I don't know. I like go back. My like favorites are always like depends on what I'm thinking of. I don't know if you have that problem, Kevin, where it's like, what was my favorite recording? It's just like the one I think of that I'm like, oh, that was my favorite. Wait, this one. No, this one. And then it's like,
I had Michael Billy Smith on my podcast who was on Buffy, I think, in one episode. But he was Michael Billy Smith. I don't know. I think there's only one episode, but he's like a bigger guy. Okay. But he was a huge in Charmed. He played multiple things in Charmed, and yeah.
Is it because he was like a monster and then a different monster?
Yeah, he's a monster kind of guy. He was like in The Hills Have Eyes and lots of other movies and things like that. So
yeah, there's a lot of Buffy actors like that. Like Tom Lank, who I'm friends with, who's in the last 2 seasons of Buffy as a character, played a vampire in season 5. And he told me the rule of those shows had back then was like, if you were in monster makeup, you could appear, like, they were allowed to cast you again.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know.
Nice.
Oh, God, I've
Nice.
never had Summer Geller on. I feel like that is my dream goal, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
Oh my goodness.
Although I have been like, I should query her people again. She's doing press tours. She's not going to come on my podcast, but I should query them again.
I'm looking at notes. I'm trying to find parallels between the two of them more. You know, in season 4 of Charmed, there's a vampire episode
Oh, really?
where Rose McGowan Paige turns into a vampire.
Wait, do they just do the fangs, or do they do like vamp makeup, or?
She got looked paler, and she had bangs, and she had a beautiful red dress. I was like, actually, the one on my shirt. That's her as a vampire right there.
Oh, cute.
I'm like, oh yeah, we're in her. And in there, this was after I think Buffy switched to
UPN.
UPN. Yeah, and there's a reference that Leo says. He's like, yeah, the vampires were ostracized from the world. They probably have a whole new network now. So it's like a little meta.
Oh, right. Isn't there a Buffy joke? And don't they say, like, where's Buffy when you need her in that episode?
They do. Not that episode. That's a different episode. They say that in season 1.
Oh.
In the
All right.
Power of 2 with Jackson Ward, who was also on Buffy. Or not Jackson. Jackson Ward is the character on Charmed, but I forgot the actor name. Jeff Ricketts, maybe? I don't remember. But he's one that played some bad guys. I saw him.
I think he might be the guy that plays like Willow's magic drug dealer, because I think he was also in Lost. I think.
Okay.
Robbie, I love Psycho Beach Party.
I was in that.
Wait, what?
I did that on stage in 2009.
Oh, cool.
I played Provolone.
Which one was that? Was that Xander's character?
Oh, I didn't see the movie. I don't know. But maybe. I think he's like one of the like, beach surfer dudes that like kisses the other one. I don't know.
I saw it. I love that you were in the play, but you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. But yeah.
I always forget you're a theater gal too, Kevin.
I know. Craziness.
You got a lot.
I just so much things. I want to find. There's actually a website I found that lists all of the crossover actors and shows you which episodes each of them are from.
Of course, it's funny because sometimes I'll go to this website that just has like all the episode transcripts, and they're all fan done. It's not like an official site. And someone was like, "Well, of course, there's a Buffy site where someone transcribed every episode." I was like, "Yeah, I guess so."
So Jeff Kober played Zachary the Vampire in Helpless.
Yes.
And
Also,
he was in season 6 too. Okay. Yeah. But he was in season 1 of Charmed.
He's the actor that I thought it was. He's also in Lost.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I think he was in like a lot of things around that time.
So
well, Lost was a little bit after that, but
so we know that Buffy does exist in the Charmed canon, Charmed world. But I was looking at apparently in the Buffy comics, Charmed exists in their world too.
Oh, is there a Charmed joke?
Yeah, I kind of resent it actually, but it says in the first issue of the Buffy comic, they go to hell and a character says, "The only show that airs here is that awful show about the witch sisters." I was like,
well, I don't know the comics as well. Like I've read them all, but it's funny. That's the thing people ask the most. Like, you can do an episode on the Buffy comics. We did one, and it was like my worst performing Slayer Fest 98 episode.
Oh, wow.
But people still always ask, like, are you an episode on the comics? I'm like, I did one. It didn't do well. So, like, there's that one you can listen to, but that's it.
Yeah. But yeah, and then there's people always talk about that Asylum Insane episode, because it's pretty much the same script that was sold to both of them, and they just tweaked it to fit the narrative. Yeah, we have Brain Drain, where Piper's like is in an asylum. Hallowell Manor becomes like a thing, and it's like they try to convince her that something isn't real. You know, that her regular world isn't real. And there's a Buffy episode like that I didn't see, but yeah, it was like I think it was the same writer We just kind of submitted a script to both.
I mean, but like, I feel like especially with genre shows, there's like 10 different plots that all of them do, right? I feel like that's kind of one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like evil versions, like all genre shows do that. Did Charm do that with like evil versions of them?
Yeah, they did. It was in Bad World Part 1 and Part 2 at the season 6 finale.
Now I know what it's like when people who don't know Buffy talk to me about Buffy, because that's how I am with like, oh yeah, this little thing that you mentioned, I can tell you exactly what episodes they're from in seasons.
The crazy.
I was in New York for my birthday, and I met drag queen Alana McGriddles, and she was like, oh, I love Buffy. And like we were talking about Buffy a lot because my friend I was with is one of the co-hosts, and he was like, oh, Ian's like one whose Buffy podcast I do. And she was like, I forget what she said, but she was like, oh, are you one of those people? Can you name every episode? I was like, I sure can.
Yeah. I would when I was in high school, I would like write them all down from memory and just quiz myself just to see if I remember.
I would do like little lists in my notebooks. Like I would make like lists of Buffy stuff. If I was bored in class, it would be like, what are my favorite like Buffy episodes that Anya's in, or like my favorite Cordelia episodes. I just like make little lists in my notebook.
But it's funny because I was listening to you did a thing with Trixie, and Trixie and I have some history.
You were telling me.
Yeah. But I was like, man, I'm like, because I asked her to come on my podcast, and she's like, I don't really know Charmed. I'm like, I'm crying. But then, like, House of Halloween, the official Charmed one, they just had Simona, and then I asked Simona to come on a year ago because she's a huge Charmed fan. So I was like, oh, but now she's on the official one. Fine, I guess I'm nothing.
Listen, getting a Drag Race girl, like, they are very in demand, because I'm like, I've had a few of them be like, how much do you pay for your podcast? I was like, what? Yeah. But we did have them on, because you're a big X-Men person too. We've had a few of them on Summon for X, people that, have taken a liking to me. And, well, James Mansfield I know, and James Mansfield came on my podcast because I know since we were 8, and he came on twice. And yeah, so, and then on Summon for X we had Dax, and we had Rock'em Sakura, and that was Sean was my co-host was very giddy after that. So I talked to Rocky and Sakura, but she's not a Buffy gal, unfortunately. Yeah,
not a Charmed one either. But X-Men, she's ready for X-Men.
In case you all didn't know, Kevin also has an X-Men podcast that he so rudely has not invited me on yet, that I've been telling him he needs to invite me on.
It will happen. We got more episodes. It will happen.
I think I am gonna do that for the Patreon though. When I finish Harley Quinn, I'm gonna go to X-Men the Animated Series and Batman the Animated Series.
Those will be good.
Did you watch Batman? I feel like you did, right?
Yeah,
that was like the big thing back then. Yeah,
I did. I never like I wasn't religious about it, but I did watch it, after school or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is on. It was good. So
because I've been doing a rewatch, like kind of like a background rewatch where like I work from home, right? So this is my desk that I set up when I'm working. So like I'm here, my TV's right here. I'll just like have it on. But it's funny seeing like the shit I remember and the shit I don't, because I've never rewatched it since it was on 100 years ago. Sure. So there's certain things that I'm like, oh, I very much remember this episode, but then there's things I'm like, what the fuck is this? And the thing that I just watched this episode like a few days ago, and I vividly remembered like, ooh, they killed someone this episode, and I watched that episode, and I was like, this was a big deal for me when I was like 9. The fact that someone died in this episode.
Yeah. Oh.
But I am more partial to the X-Men cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the one that started everything.
Well, and like, so. I feel like the thing that like I've been watching Batman, and again, it is well done. Like the stories are like feel like comic book stories, and not like kid cartoony. But there's not enough ladies. There's not enough, like the ladies are good, but they're not used enough. And X-Men has like Storm and Rogue and Jean and Jubilee, and it's like
Jubilee.
Yeah, every little gay kid's dream.
Yeah, this says that the timeline of X-Men show gets confusing. On our podcast, we fix it. We watch it in the order it's supposed to happen, not the order it aired. So that's something we do.
So I found out the Batman the Animated Series had the same exact issue, which I didn't realize because I was watching it and I was like, I don't remember. Like, I remember this episode, but I don't remember it being this early on. And apparently, the order they were supposed to go out in, the recording date, and then the order they actually went in are all like different. I don't know why that was a thing back then. I guess they just didn't care to the kids' cartoons, right?
Yeah, so, like whatever makes sense for our budget, and these episodes were animated somewhere else, and we didn't get them in time for this, so we'll air it over here. Something like that.
Oh, I do remember there being some Power Rangers and X-Men episodes airing on primetime. I do remember that.
Yeah, that was like an event. Yeah.
Because
with Charmed and Buffy characters. Oh. I mean, Prue is obviously going to be Jean. It just has to be.
God. Who would be Rogue?
Who would be Rogue? I mean, maybe Phoebe because she has empathy and she can like channel people's emotions and powers.
Sarah Michelle Gellar was like in talks to be Rogue for the first X-Men movie. I don't know that she would have done an accent, but I mean, Anna Paquin didn't do much either, so.
No. You know what's funny?
Lenore Vaughn is still like the best Rogue, I think.
Which one?
Lenore Vaughn, who voiced Rogue.
Of course. I mean, her range, her voice, so good, so great.
Have you had any of them on? The like creators?
No. Maybe we might get Lenore because I do have the hookup with people, but I know Paul gets like everybody.
Well, dickhead, I've had her on. You can ask me too.
Of course.
I've had her and the showrunners on.
Yeah. But they do. The showrunners do. The Leewalds do follow the pod page, so there's that, which is good. So they are aware of our existence. We haven't asked them yet. I think Sean would probably flip a brick. Is that a phrase?
I don't think so.
I think I just made that up for sure. Mixing two phrases together. I don't know, but yeah, I think if we do get that happening, I'll be very excited. So maybe I should work on that. We'll see.
I was going to show you, but I think it fell off my desk. So I did like for the 30th anniversary, 30th, I think it was, or 25th of the show airing, I did like an article for this place I used to freelance for called Primetime.
Oh.
Primetimer, I think so. And I like interviewed them for it. So it was about how good it is and how it still holds up. And they like sent me a thank you gift that was like so cool. It was a like stand-in copied print of the first page of the first script that they ever wrote, signed by them.
Wow.
And I was like, this is so cute.
How cool.
Ooh, Garrett said Cole or Spike as Magneto.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard because we don't know really. I mean, I know who Spike is, and I know who Cole is, obviously.
I mean, I know who Cole is.
Well, Cole played Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four. So, or Julie McMahon, I should say.
Right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he was bad casting for Dr. Doom. I think the movie is just bad. But like,
yeah, he was good.
Right, in theory, he could be a good Dr. Doom, but like they didn't do a good Dr. Doom.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, maybe I would say he would be Magneto because I feel like Spike could be like Wolverine or Sabretooth or something.
Oh yeah. Did you know that this Alyssa Milano was considered for the role of the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Richard Swanson. Isn't that crazy?
It's so weird with that shit. Like everyone always is like, "Did you know that Charisma Carpenter like auditioned for Buffy first?" And I asked her that, and she was like, "Everyone auditioned for Buffy." She was like, "There was not a woman going to audition for the show that wasn't also auditioning for Buffy." So like that makes sense, right? Like,
yeah. And she auditioned for to be Paige in Charmed. She auditioned for Rose's part in Charmed.
Oh, Charisma Carpenter did? Ew.
That interesting. It's so crazy.
That's so weird because that would have been while she was still doing Buffy,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe the environment was getting to her. Maybe there are things were happening behind the scenes. You know.
Who could know?
Who could know? Who could tell? And
Spike's Gambit is good.
Michelle Branch was on both shows singing the same song.
Oh, really?
Yes. Isn't that's so, it's so weird.
That's so
Parallel.
weird. She had other famous songs.
Right. She sang Goodbye to You in the 100th episode of Charmed.
And it was like, it would have been like the 110th episode of Buffy. So it was season 6, but towards the beginning.
I wonder if it was the same.
Season 5 is the 100th episode,
Okay.
is the finale.
So in Buffy, it was 2001. In Charmed, it was 2003.
So weird.
So that's so crazy. Random.
I guess that song is one of those songs that's like so famous that like you could do it 2 years apart and it's still like.
Right.
Yeah, Jared's right. That Charm might have been her backup in case Angel didn't last. Because it might have been when Angel just started. And
Sure.
I know they were like very worried about that. Ooh, Faith is Eliza Dushku's road isn't bad either.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I feel like she's someone I'm surprised hasn't been in like superhero movies, right? Or like Marvel
No.
hasn't put her anything.
Yeah, I can see her being Electra, like a good Electra.
Yeah. I think I like wrote an article forever ago that was like, oh, like the women we haven't seen in the MCU yet, and I think I might have said Eliza Dushku as Electra as my like fan cast. And this was like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, so someone asked who your favorite is, Kevin: Prue, Piper, Phoebe, or Paige?
Oh, I'm a slut for Prue. I am a slut for Prue. I myself am more of a Piper. Like if I had to put me in there, I'd be Piper. But that's part of another reason that's why I like Prue so much, because Piper idolized Prue like crazy, and so I kind of have Prue as this pedestal. You know, I just always felt safe and protected and loved when they're around, and you know.
Wait, but that's I sometimes I forget which one is which. That's
Who was Shannon Doherty?
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Piper is Alyssa Milano.
Piper is Holly Marie Combs.
Oh shit. Okay.
And Phoebe is Alyssa Milano.
Okay. And Paige is Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, I just learned this. I don't know if you know this. I mean, you probably do. You should probably tell me if it's true or not. So, like, you know, I'm a big action figure nerd. So I have the, like, Charm figures just because I'm like, I want them. They, like, go with Buffy, kind of. And I've like, watched the show. And I was telling my one friend, Joe, that, like, we both do, like, custom figures together a lot. I was like, it's weird they never released one of Shannon Doherty. And he said that he's pretty sure it's because, like, when she quit, one of the things was, like, her likeness wasn't allowed to be used in, like, merchandise.
There's a whole thing there, yeah.
So that is true then?
Yeah, more or less. I think they did approach her at the time, and maybe because the show was still on the air, they didn't want to basically, but they couldn't even show her a picture of her on the show. Like once she was off the show, you never saw her on the show again.
Yeah, that's what my friend was telling me, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He said that there's like they like talk about her in one episode, you still don't even like see her.
Yeah. They talk about her. They show the back of her head. There's one called Cat House where they kind of go through past memories, and Paige gets to see some past memories. So she sees Prue as a dog when she turned into a dog. But you do see the back of her head, probably a stunt double, but the back of her head on a motorcycle. I'm like, that's the closest we got. That's the closest we got. That's actually the only scene that has all four sisters in the same scene at the same time.
Oof. I know a lot because Angel did the same thing. So Angel lasted one season after Buffy, and they kept saying Sarah Michelle Gellar was going to come back as Buffy on Angel. She did not. And they have her in an episode, and it's the same thing where it's like from very far away, and she's dancing. And it's just a blonde girl in a wig going like.
Yeah.
And I remember being so mad because the episode was promoted as like they see Buffy again, and then like, that's it.
Cheap.
Right? Like, don't tell me that's Buffy. That's not Buffy. Like, that's just a lady in a blonde wig.
I feel few years ago, though, Shannon did give away. She allowed her likeness to be used for a doll. They made Mego dolls, and it was the most terrifying doll I've ever seen. Actually, all those Mickey dolls.
It's weird. I feel like it's a style, right? It's the same way that there's like those Super 7 figures that like just look like weird old action figures, but like it is like a style, but I don't understand who it's for is the thing.
Yeah. I have them because I need them for my collection, but I don't like them.
That's very
Who have more powers? What? Who?
like which is the most powerful?
Paige, definitely. I mean,
Angel's here too.
Paige has the most powers, I would say, like different. But then again, like in my podcast, I have a segment called Power Play during the comics, and we really go into the details in and outs of each power. And some of these powers really give you lots of other different abilities. Like premonition is much more nuanced than people think it is. You can do so many crazy things, and advanced telekinesis is and I mean, because telekinesis we just covered. You can do super strength with it. You can put it behind your punches. You can use it to help simulate levitation, hovering yourself. It made you more agile, flipping over banisters and stuff. Like, it's crazy. So sometimes you really have to think about the ins and outs of a power to see how much it can really do.
That is the thing that I always had trouble keeping track of what actually their powers were. Because I felt like sometimes they could do like cool fighting moves that sometimes they couldn't. Sometimes they like who did the freezing? Who did the freezing?
That was Piper.
Right. I like both of us, just like you crawling through Buffy knowledge, me crawling through Charm knowledge, and us filling in the gaps.
I mean, I do know the musical. That one I know because everyone knows the musical. And I remember because I'm a big theater person, I was like, I like this. I was listening to the soundtracks and stuff.
And I'm not a theater person, but I fucking love it. Like I remember like at the time, especially being like, oh, I don't know that I'm gonna like this, but then I fucking loved it. It's like I always say it's my favorite musical.
Sure, that works. I'm jealous that Charmed didn't get a musical episode.
I'm surprised it didn't. Honestly, I feel like, especially after Buffy did it, like then, like
I mean,
didn't Supergirl?
The Seventh Heaven made one for crying out loud. Seventh Heaven made a musical episode.
Really? I didn't know that.
Like, of all the things, that one.
Hi, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like Roseanne had a musical episode.
Strange things.
But so even your like theater brain thinks the Buffy musical is good?
Of course. Yeah. I had fun with it.
Because I have a couple, I think both my straight guy friends, like I got them to watch Buffy, but they did not like the musical. Like they were like, that was corny. I was like,
yes, how dare you clutch the pearls. Yeah. Melissa and Grant, are those Buffy people? I don't know.
I don't know.
Listen. Oh, maybe. Oh, it was maybe you're talking about Supergirl. Oh, Supergirl had a musical episode.
Oh, right. I remember seeing images of them like dancing together.
Yeah. And Once Upon a Time. I didn't like the Once Upon a Time one.
Did you watch all of Once Upon a Time?
I didn't finish the last season. I finished the main arc, and I got tired of it.
The last season was like kind of like a reboot season, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I only got through one season of Once Upon a Time, and I was like,
That's probably the best season. But I don't. I mean, because I'm a big Disney nerd too, so I was all about like, what kind of Disney things would they do? And then I'm just like, I don't like this anymore after a while.
Kevin, you are like such a weird mystery to me because like you love Charmed, you love X-Men, you love theater, you love like I feel like your interests are like I can never guess. You're always like keeping me guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very eclectic. I really am. Because like yeah, Power Rangers, Kingdom Hearts, Gremlins. I'm a big Gremlins fan. Love the Gremlins.
I'll have to keep that in mind if we ever cover that for My Bloody Judy.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it is a Christmas horror movie.
it is. It's like so great.
I did always love that the mom. I like the mom scene because I like that like
It's so
she doesn't
cool.
die. She like does. It's like this like suburban mom, but she like fucking what?
She did it.
Doesn't she put him in like the the garbage disposal or something?
Garbage disposal, microwave. She stabs one. It's great. And then you get attacked in the tree, and she's like, ah! but she survives. Then they fling that thing into the fire. So
Is that family in the second one? I remember the second one is in that office building, but are any of the characters in the second one from the first?
yeah, his parents are not in it, but Billy the son, he's in it. Phoebe Cates, and then the neighbors, the Futtermans come. So it's the neighbors and then the two young leads.
Because like, I mean, I've seen both of them, but the first one is the only one that like I've rewatched like as an adult. I don't think I've seen the second one since I was like a kid.
Oh, Gremlins 2 is so good though too. It's a parody of itself. So it's like they take the formula of the first one and they just kind of it's more comedy than the first one. But it's also really amazingly fun.
Yes, it's because I remember as a kid the first one did scare me and the second one like did not scare me.
Yeah.
So Jared mentioned that Xena had a good musical. Did you watch Xena?
I did watch it. I did not know they had a musical episode though. That's cool.
Wait, so I'm going to tell you my Lucy Lawless story because it's my favorite.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Maybe my favorite celebrity encounter. I don't even remember. It might have been my 30th. I think it might have been my 30th birthday. I was at a bar in New York called Duplex where my roommate's now wife, then girlfriend, worked. A gay piano bar that's like next to Stonewall. And it was like my birthday was at midnight that night. And it was like me and two friends at the end of the bar. And Lucy Lawless walked in. And she performed Fever, super drunk. She sang it at the piano bar. And my friend that I was with is kind of like you, like a muscular, like manly dude. And he was like, I'm going to get you to meet Xena for your birthday because you're excited that she's here. And I was like, no, that's so embarrassing. We can't say anything. And he was like, yes, we can. Come with me. Walked me over there and he went, this is my friend Ian. He's like a big fan. It's his 30th birthday. And she was so drunk and so nice. She grabbed my hand and went, sweetheart, how old are you? And I was like, oh, I'm turning 30. And she was like, oh, you look like you could be one of my children. You're beautiful. Gave me a kiss on the hand, then hugged me, kissed my cheek, and wished me happy birthday, took a picture with me. And I was like,
that's so great.
And the fact that she was like even trashed, like being so nice, I was like,
that's so great. And it's funny that she sang Fever because Rose McGowan sang Fever on Charmed. So they didn't have a musical episode, but they did have musical numbers.
So look, we circled right back.
Yeah. Billy Zane sang a really good song on Charmed.
Billy Zane? Does he sing?
Yeah, he's so good. He his background is in musical theater actually. Before he started,
that's right. I feel like a lot of actors, it's like that's their background, so they can do like that shit.
I sang the song he sang to him when I met him. I did because I'm like I said, is it during the panel? Like, can you sing the song for us? He's like I can sing to him. He didn't know the words.
Like, oh, the theater queer is here, so they're willing to sing. Let's get them.
But his sister is the one that wrote the song too. His sister Lisa Zane is a musician. She writes things too. So she wrote the song for Charmed.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It is weird that Billy Zane was on Charmed because he was also already famous.
Yeah.
Like he did Titanic and then Charmed, right?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I love that.
He did Back to the Future and then Charmed. He did lots of things. Yeah.
What was his character's name?
Drake Damone.
He was a bad guy, right?
Well, no. He was actually a really good guy. He was a former demon that wanted to become human, and he was super charismatic. Like, the minute he comes on, you're, like, in love with him. Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, I, like, remember him on the show. I just don't remember
He was only on for 3 episodes too.
Wait, what? Really? I really remember him being like I probably have seen those 3 episodes. I thought he was like a reoccurring character.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely made an impression.
He's really only in 3 episodes? Huh.
Yeah. Season 7, episode 14, 15, and 16.
Wait, which season?
Season 7.
Wait,
Same one that yeah.
See, I must know those like later seasons better. Those must have been the ones I was watching a lot with my mom.
Yeah.
Because I also remember the magic school, and I know a lot of people hate that, but I'm like, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you come in later, you probably think it would be fun. If you start at the beginning, you're like, where did this come from? Because it's completely out of nowhere. But if you like start with Magic School in there, I guess it makes more sense. But
yeah, my friend David was doing a like Charmed rewatch, and he was like texting me because he was like, "You should do this for Slayer." I was like, "I don't know Charmed well enough to do it." And I said, I was like, I remember the Magic School. I thought that was cute. And he was like, what? That part is garbage. He was like, I'm skipping that in my rewatch because I hate it so much.
Well, it's hard because once it's introduced, it doesn't go away. And it's introduced in season 6. So that's like 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, he did say actually the same that you just said. He was like, it just bothers me that it's supposed to have always been there, but it was never referenced before and it comes out of nowhere. And that was like what he was saying that bothers him about it. Which I understand. That there's a couple Buffy episodes. I mean, a lot of shows, especially back then, did that. There's a Buffy episode that my most disliked episode is from season 2, and it's because they do something like that where they're like, Buffy has the flu and she doesn't want to go to a doctor because she hates doctors because she watched her cousin die in a hospital, and you're like, what? And like they're like that affected her so badly as a kid that like she won't go to, and it's the only episode they ever mention it, they ever talk about it, and like that episode is like she has trauma from this and she never got over it and blah blah blah, and then you find out it was a monster that murdered her cousin in the hospital because this monster murders children, and like
I remember that episode. I saw that one.
it's creepy, but I hate it because of that, because I'm like, don't introduce this like major plot point and then never talk about it again.
Yeah, things.
But right, like a lot of shows back then did that like a lot.
And they expect you to forget things. They don't think you're gonna get all the they don't take into account syndication or DVDs. You know, that was not really considered at the time.
Oh, Jared said they addressed the Charmed kids were homeschooled.
Yeah, I mean, at least when they were young children, they were probably, because they did go to high school. They all went to Baker High. But I don't hear many stories about them like pre-high school, what school they went to. So
Were they at the top of the Golden Gate Bridge in the season 6 finale?
yeah, they go there. They start going in season 6. Like mid-season 6, they introduce the Golden Gate Bridge like hangout spot, and that doesn't go away either. That stays for the rest of the series too.
All right.
I mean, it's pretty for a couple times. I like that, but like, I mean, that's dangerous. Like, does anybody ever be like, "There's people up there"?
Right, I'll say people would drive by and see that. I mean, but like with Charmed and Buffy, I feel like they're like comic books, but I feel like they're like live action comic books, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like they're like quippy, but they like can fight people. They have like powers and shit like that. So I think that's like nerds like us. That's what drew us to shows like that. Like,
Exactly.
we didn't have a lot of, you know what I mean, like superhero content to consume.
And I've always been into supernatural stuff, magical stuff, because that was just so fantastical to me, and I'm all about this like whole new worlds. Like all that stuff was always something that sparked an interest.
Yeah, same. I don't know if I've told you this, but so my mom was one that was watching Charmed and Buffy, and I was like very judgmental about it. But then like I walked in on her watching season 2 finale when Buffy has to kill Angel, crying, and I was like, wait, this does seem like a good show, and that's like literally what got me into. And then I started watching the next season.
Oh, see, it's always cool how people get into the shows.
Yeah.
For me, I started right from the beginning. I was there from the first episode airing. I saw every episode on the original air date. And that's just because of the trailers, like the marketing for it. The trailer gave you such a really cool, eerie like interesting, enigmatic vibe. I'm like, this looks good. And then like it's just that family. I'm like, I like because I have siblings and I was very close to my siblings, so the family dynamic is what drew me into that one a lot. And so I was like, oh, I need to watch this show, and I did, and the rest is history. Stayed with it.
I love that. I just so you're a real fan. I'm a fake fan, is what we're saying. Whenever I have people on for Buffy episodes, I always ask their Buffy origin story because I like like I just like, especially if it's something like that you want to go on and talk a podcast. Clearly, you like it. So I just like hearing people talk about how they got into something that they like.
Yeah.
And
we all come from different perspectives, and we all got hooked at different times, or what the one thing that introduced us. And that's I always ask that on my podcast too, because it's neat.
Especially, I mean, we're both talking about like older shows. That's like because I've had people on that like the hardest hardcore fan, and they're like, "Oh, I just watched it for the first time like 3 years on Hulu," and
right.
And I said that too,
Yeah. Did you watch it after the show was over? Did you come in through the middle? It's always fascinating. I know you watched. I was watching one of your videos with the One Day at a Time girl, which I loved that. One Day at a Time, the remake of it.
Oh yeah, I love her.
I watched that, and she's like, "I never saw Buffy before, but now I did." I'm like, "That's kind of cool."
Because her character, like, I queried her agent thinking like, "Oh, well, her character's a huge Buffy fan," and she had done a few like Comic Cons, so I was like, "Oh, she's probably a nerd." And her agent was like, "She has actually never seen Buffy. This is a secret, but she's willing to watch it for your podcast." I was like, "All right, cool." So we did that.
Fun.
I thought she was very charming. Wasn't she very charming?
Yeah, she was. And I was really sad that One Day at a Time got canceled because I was really enjoying that show a lot.
Me too.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm a really hard sell on like a straight up sitcom, and that's like a straight up sitcom, but it was a really well done straight up sitcom, right? and like Rita Moreno is basically playing my grandmother. Like that is my grandmother. Like that's how my grandma was, like to a T. Like there's even a scene. There's a scene when she's like helping her daughter get like Justina Machado, the mom, is like getting ready to like leave for work. And Rita Moreno's helping her get ready. He's like handing her food, handing her purse. And she's like, she's like, "Here you go, lipstick." And she's like, "Mommy, I don't need lipstick." And she goes, "Yes, you do." And my grandma would do that to her daughter. She'd be like, "You don't have any makeup on and you're leaving the house?" Like she would get like mad.
Yeah. That's great.
Very big, like Hispanic grandma vibes.
Uh-huh.
You know what? That reminds me. So I'm going to try to do a bunch of lives for February. I feel like this is like the kickoff, even though this is your live. I'm like,
yeah, and this is my first time doing it. So welcome to my kickoff.
Wait, is it your first time?
Yeah. I mean, I've done lives with people, but like first time like hosting one, especially this time on the podcast page. So, yeah.
I'm happy. I'm flattered.
I know I've been a part of several of them in my day on my Instagram life, but
You've done 2 others before. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done stuff with House of X-Men, and I've done things with X Reads and lots of X-Men podcasts actually. I've done stuff with you.
Right, you were on for She-Hulk, weren't you? That's what you were on for. Right?
For which one?
You were on for She-Hulk?
Yeah, I did She-Hulk. That wasn't live, but I did the podcast with you, and we did the Thor episode for Patreon.
Right. Because you haven't watched Harley Quinn, right? Like that's not your
No.
thing.
I mean,
that's why
I can watch a lot of things. These days. I'm like, no, I don't do anything that's normal. I'm like, I have my podcast, and then I go to the gym, and then I like watch shows that nobody else is watching because it's like random. I can't keep up with everything.
There are too many shows, right? Like I feel like there'll be an announcement like this show canceled after 2 seasons. I'm like, I've never even heard of the show. Or like, oh, I was gonna watch that, but now I don't want to.
But right now, everyone's talking about the Last of Us. And I'm like, I don't have HBO. I can't watch it even if I wanted to.
I do that. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I just haven't gotten to it. I mean, it's only 3 episodes so far. I feel like a lot of those shows, usually I'll wait
So
So there's like a few episodes, and then like binge a few, and then catch up.
Yeah.
See, Kevin, everyone's saying you got to get into it.
I know.
Are there any other questions?
I see. Well, there's a comment about One Day at a Time. Lesbian granddaughter, yes. Yeah.
And Jared, I know you've heard that story with my grandma. Yeah, my grandma was just like, "So what? Your mother told me. Are we eating empanadas?" And that's like what she said when I came out to her.
And there's because the whole last season of One Day at a Time when they got off Netflix and went to Pop, I think.
Yeah,
I think I couldn't find it. I was trying to find out where I can watch it. I never got that season either.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I have to see if I can look at that.
I had because I was so excited about it, and because I moved back in with my parents who have cable, I literally would set the DVR to record it when it was airing. Because yeah, I don't know where you could get that now, right?
Right. It's hard, and I tried to sign up. I tried to do it on their website. I couldn't do that. I had to pay for something that I didn't have, maybe. But
I feel like so many of the stations that you have to go to their website, it's never works well.
Yeah.
Because Sci-Fi, Sci-Fi, you could stream The Magicians on their website, but it would be a weird pause and then a commercial, but it's the same commercial 5 times, and then it would crash.
Yeah. Not fun.
My tattoo was from that show, but I would just wait till it went up on Netflix. And then once they moved here and I had access to cable, I watched the final season live, but most of the time I just would wait the year or just be a year behind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What did we do before Netflix, Kevin?
I don't know. Wait, Amber Benson was in a movie with Wes Ramsey. There we go.
Who's that?
Wes Ramsey played grown-up Wyatt, which is the son of Piper and Leo.
All right.
No, wait. He was in a gay movie called Latter Days. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I've never seen that movie, but I know what it is. I've heard about it.
Amber Benson's in the movie, too.
She's in that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I have it. I only watched it maybe once.
Because I know some gay Mormons, so they have talked about that movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling hungry all of a sudden. I'm just what is this in my gut?
Well, Kevin, I think I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Again soon.
Yeah, we had a nice hour. That was good. Perfect.
All right, sweetheart. I will talk to you later.
All right. Bye.